The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And now we're going to leave some time to talk about the Cubs and spring training. We'll also talk about the White Sox. So starting off, the Cubs, it looks like most of the people are in and they're getting ready. And
yeah, like pitchers and catchers are not scheduled to report yet, and yet so far everyone's there.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's there. We saw Kyle Schwarber hit a home run onto a car.
See, that's the hilarious
yesterday.
thing. That's just what you love to see about this team, that kind of chemistry. Pitchers and catchers had not been scheduled to report yet.
Right.
And yet everyone is there. Pitchers, catchers, and position players.
Yeah, everyone's there and everyone's getting ready to go. I mean, it's a very exciting time because the expectations are much, much higher this year than they were last year. And after going to the NLCS, I mean, there's no reason why they can't go back. And all the other people, all the sports betting things in Las Vegas and everything, some places have the Cubs winning as many as 101 games, which is kind of hard to believe, but a lot of people have them winning 100-plus games.
Yep. I mean, it's really tough to improve on 97 wins.
And I think nationally, most people, and of course it's because it's the Cubs, most people are saying that the Cubs are clear-cut the best team in baseball. I don't necessarily agree with that. But
their pitching staff is not good enough.
I mean, national media is really hyping up the Cubs, which is nice to see, but we saw that backfire in 2008. So I just hope that it doesn't happen. Yeah. Everyone thought they'd be so good, and they weren't. Although we know the Cubs are going to be good, but are they going to outright win the division? I think there was one place, I forgot where I heard this. I heard it on the radio somewhere. They had the Cubs finishing 9 games in front of. I think they had the Cubs winning the NL Central by 9 games, which I think is a little much.
Yeah, that is a lot. Especially, I mean, the Cardinals are probably going to win at least 90 games, regardless if they lost Hayward and
Pittsburgh probably will be
agency.
close to that too. So I don't know.
Right. I mean, Pittsburgh didn't really lose anyone. They just lost Pedro Alvarez,
and they still have a pretty good staff.
Yeah, they just lost Pedro. Their staff is just young and getting better. That's the problem with their staff. It's really good and getting better. And I mean, the Cardinals. I mean, they haven't really done much except they just have so much experience that. They probably will have a good season. I don't think they'll win the division because Lynn's out for the season. They've lost Lackey. They lost Hayward. They still have a lot of talent on that team. It's just I think they're a little in over their head because they really weren't able to improve much over the offseason because they didn't really add an outfielder. They didn't add a first baseman. I don't know. I don't think Matt Carpenter's going to hit 28 home runs again.
No, probably not.
I mean, I think maybe something closer to 15 is more realistic to expect from him.
Here's a headline I didn't want to see when I went to MLB.com. It says, up and Adam Wainwright feels strong. I hate seeing that because he was hurt all last year, and that was at least a contributing factor to why why they didn't do as well as they did, although they still did pretty well.
They still won 100 games without him.
Yeah, they still won the most games in baseball, but imagine how good they would have been if they would have won every game that Adam Wainwright was pitching. That would have been, 15 more wins or something possibly. So that would have been bad.
Right, and I also think their bullpen might have a little bit of a regress. I mean, not a bad one. It's just almost all of their relief pitchers did so good that it's tough to expect them to be that good again.
Right. And, of course, we're still trying to wonder what's going to happen with Dexter Fowler. It's very interesting.
It sounds like I read somewhere that on the score, not 670 the score, just the app the score.
Yeah.
And it said that there's a report that the Orioles were confident they were going to sign both Fowler and Giovanni Gallardo. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense for
I
both
just
those
can't
teams.
believe all these good free agents that are still available, and they're only available because teams have to surrender that first-round pick, which is getting ridiculous because Ian Desmond, Dexter Fowler, Giovanni Gallardo, they should not be free agents, so they should have signed. And a lot of teams aren't signing them just because of the free agent compensation.
Right. Yeah, it's very strange.
And the thing is, waiting this long, that's not going to change many teams' stances because regardless if you settle for like a 1-year deal, they don't want to give up a first-round pick if you're going to be there for 1 year.
Yeah, you would have to be there for maybe 2 or 3.
Except then, then the teams don't want to shell out that kind of money to keep you there.
Right.
I mean, it would be different if you didn't have to give up a draft pick. I'm sure some team would be willing to give Ian Desmond $8 or $9 million on a 1-year deal with a lot of incentives.
And a lot of people also have been saying that the San Francisco Giants might be the team to beat, either them or the Cubs. Those are the two teams that keep popping up from the National League. And I agree that the Giants improved. I still don't think they're
improved a lot.
I don't know. There's some question marks at the back of that rotation. Because Matt Cain, we don't know what Matt Cain's going to do. I wouldn't expect him to be that good.
Right. Right now the top of the rotation looks like Bumgarner, Cueto, and Samardzija.
Yeah, and
that's a really solid top. That's probably one of the best top threes in baseball.
Yes.
That's better than the Cubs' top three of Arrieta, Lester, and Lackey. And that's not. Granted, the Cubs do have the best pitcher among the two teams.
Right. Well, and Samardzija had such an awful year last year. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are thinking.
I think he's going to have a really good bounce back season. I think he's going to do really good with the Giants pitching coach in a big ballpark back in the National League.
I'm sure he'll be better. Obviously he'll be better.
Yeah, because one of the reasons that he wasn't as good was because Don Cooper is the kind of pitching coach that likes to have guys throw the cutter, where Chris Bosio is the pitching coach that likes having guys throw that sinking fastball. Mm-hmm. And Samardzija never really threw a cutter before, and that Don Cooper kept trying to get him to throw it, and it massively backfired.
Right. Here's kind of an interesting thing that was written on MLB.com. Tale of the fantasy tape, Cardinals versus Cubs. This is sort of some fantasy. They sort of go through each position like person by person. So, like, looking at the catcher position, it says Yadier Molina is clearly superior defensively to Miguel Montero, but these two players are dead even in terms of fantasy value, apparently.
I don't think Molina's going to do that much offensively. He might hit like 7 or 8 home runs, hit 280.
It says Molina can hit for average, but his power has disappeared in recent seasons.
That's probably because of his bad thumb injury.
And Miguel Montero is unlikely to post a high batting mark, but he'll provide plenty of power. I think all that's true. I don't know.
I don't know. Would you take a 240 average and 16 home runs from Montero for fantasy, or a 280 average and 7 home runs from Molina?
I wouldn't take either of them. I'm not sure I'd take either of them. I think there's some better catchers out there, fantasy-wise. Speaking of, I guess we're gonna pretty soon here, maybe in less than a month or so, we'll have our live fantasy draft on the air. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that.
As long as we can get enough people.
As long as we can get enough people, right? First base, a 5-category stud who belongs in the first round of most fantasy drafts is Anthony Rizzo. Holds a decided advantage over the Cardinals' Brandon Moss. Anthony Rizzo is among the few players with the potential to rip 30 home runs, swipe 15 bases, and drive in 100 runs in 2016. So there you go.
That's pretty accurate because Joe Madden had everybody running on the base paths.
Right. Second base in a potential, in a battle of potential against predictability, Colton Wong and Ben Zobrist finish in a tie, according to this article. Wong should use his solid power and speed combination to dent mixed league rosters, but his recent struggles against southpaws are a cause for concern. Zobrist no longer offers a speed component, but he should match Wong's power and score plenty of runs by virtue of his terrific on-base skills. So
yeah, Wong had a big season last year.
And this is kind of a good way to compare probably the top 2 teams in the division.
Yeah, next week we'll be doing this comparing the Cubs and the White Sox.
Yes. Shortstop, expected to take a big step forward in his second season. Skilled youngster Addison Russell gets a slight edge over Johnny Peralta. Cards fans will likely not agree with this decision, but the 22-year-old Russell may be on the verge of making a major leap. Peralta is a safe source of power for fantasy owners, but his lack of speed limits his ability to swipe bases and score runs.
Yeah. And to go through this kind of quickly, Chris Bryant over Matt Carpenter.
Yes, he's expected to be selected long before Matt Carpenter. That's pretty easy.
And I think in the outfield, you'll take Schwarber and Hayward and Soler over any of the Cardinals outfielders. I mean, because they got Holiday, John Jay, and probably a platoon of Randall Grichuk and Steven Piscotty.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty. John Jay isn't listed on here. It's Matt Holiday, Randall
Grichuk, and Steven
Piscotty.
You know, they might have traded Jay. I don't remember.
I don't know either. I try not to pay attention to. Number one starter, a healthy Adam Wainwright is fine and is a fine fantasy workhorse, but his current value lags well behind Arrieta, obviously. John Lester's ability to combine a strong ERA and WHIP with 200-plus strikeouts give the Cubs a great 1-2 punch. He holds a decided edge over Michael Wacha, who only posted a 4.01 ERA in the second half of 2015.
Yeah, that's not good.
Number three starter, the Cardinals finally score a win with Carlos Martinez ranking ahead of steady veteran John Lackey, according to
I mean, that's pretty understandable. I mean, that kind of sums up the rotation.
Well, Carlos Martinez is pretty good.
I mean, that kind of sums up the rotation, so the Cardinals have a better number three starter.
Number four starter, Jason Hamill would have held an advantage over Mike Leake if he could have maintained his first half numbers, but he pitched just a 5.10 ERA mark after the All-Star break. That leaves him tied with Mike Leake, who should produce quality ratios but a low strikeout total. And then the fifth starter, the favorite to be the Cubs' fifth starter, Kyle Hendricks, made major gains in 2015. That gives him the edge over Jaime Garcia.
Yep, so agreed there. And we're coming up against a break, and when we come back, we're gonna have Jerry Riles on. So stay tuned to the Sports Renegades here on SportstownChicago.com.
The Sports Renegades podcast on SportstownChicago.com.